Why is it so difficult for us to simply let go of a closed door and pick ourselves back up and go on to there's thousands and thousands of more doors, right? So why is it so challenging, do you think, for us to just simply go knock on the next door?
I think in so many ways we get attached. We get attached to an idea, we get attached to a goal, we get attached to a person, we get attached to a vision, we get attached to how we think our life should look, we get attached to how we think things should be, and we get so attached, invest so much, and we can't see any other alternative thinking that we know what we want and we know what's right. And it's the attachment that creates suffering. And so when we get so attached, we don't realize that we are limiting ourselves. And we get so attached, we don't realize that we are putting limitations on ourselves and everyone and the universe. And so I think out of that attachment, we create suffering. And it becomes difficult to let go. It becomes difficult to get open. Often, when we, in quotation marks, fail, because I don't really believe in failure, but when things don't go according to plan, or when we get rejected, or when things don't work out, we just think that we failed, or we have this illusion that we failed. And there's a tendency to contract, to collapse, to curse out the universe, to be depressed, to feel unhappy. When in truth, sometimes things not working out, go according to plan, or being rejected is really grace. It's really the universe redirecting you. But often when we're so stuck in the ego's identity, or the identification of ourselves as ego in this mind-body mechanism, we're not able to understand. And the ego is limited, that perceived sense of what we believe ourselves to be. And so we're not able to really understand and see the multiple possibilities of what is seeking to happen, the infinite perspectives, the different, unfoldings. We're just locked into, this is how it is. This is how it should be. And so we're not open. We're not available, because it has to be this way and only way. And so, I tell people, when things don't work out, it's usually something better that's seeking to happen that we're not able to see. When things don't work out, it's grace, it's the love of the universe. When things don't work out, or I tell people, thank God for the prayers that were not answered. It's easy to thank God for the prayers that
Yes,
were answered,
yes,
because
yes.
often it's only in retrospect, looking back 5 years later, 10 years later, that we're able to see and say, oh, wow, thank God. Like if everybody were to think about that person you fell in love with 10 years ago, or when you were 21 or 22 or like
That you
early,
wanted to be with so
that
badly, right? You were
you
like,
were so sure was the one. Like,
yeah,
you were sure
yeah.
that your soulmate, they were the one.
Mhm.
Now 10 years later, you look back and think, what the hell was I thinking? What the frick? Like, thank God I was not with that person. But you were not able to see it at the time. And so
No.
the ego is limited, and often what we think we want is sometimes just what we think we want based on who we think we are. And the often the goals that we get attached to are sometimes projections of unmet needs from childhood, the
Completely.
projections of unresolved things, that if I wasn't loved at school, I wasn't loved by my parents, I didn't feel worthy enough. So if I can just get that Lamborghini and that house and that nothing wrong with those things, but if I can get that, then I'm going to finally be enough, like I wasn't when I was a kid. And so even the goals that we pursue are limited in a certain sense. They are rising from
Can I
ego.
share something with you on that
Yeah.
topic there, Coot? Okay, so I heard this recently. To tie into what you shared, they said, are you driven or are you being dragged?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because when you're operating from past traumas and things like that, you're being dragged. You're not, you're not
Yes.
driven. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And so many times we're driven by compulsions and impulses that are unconscious, and so you might achieve things, but you realize, wow, is this it? I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. And so I think that there's really like a few reasons why things tend to not manifest. And number one, and we sometimes interpret it as a rejection from God and the universe, but number one, okay, so if something doesn't manifest, I invite people to just step back, breathe, be open, and get curious. To me,
Mm.
curiosity is a key. Rather than saying, this means I'm not enough. This means the universe doesn't love me. This means God has abandoned me. This means I'm not lovable. No, it like step back and say, what could this mean? Step back and get curious to allow life to reveal what is seeking to happen. What more amazing thing is seeking to unfold? What beautiful thing is seeking to happen now? Like, let's find out. So when you're able to step back, then you're able to be open. Life can show you. And so when things don't work out, number one, it might mean the goal that you're pursuing is not authentically aligned with your higher soul's intention.
Ego versus spirit,
Yes,
right?
yes.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what you think you want, what you
Yeah.
think you should have. But it's not authentic. Like, I want to win an Oscar. Well, why? I don't know, because I'm going to be loved. But it's not really you want to win an Oscar. It's just like you're driven. I want to marry Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's my soulmate. It's like, I had a friend that said, I want to marry Leonardo DiCaprio. He's my soulmate. It's like, you might be a bit deluded. No, he's my soulmate. Of course, it didn't happen. But so we want to look at the goal is not authentically aligned with your highest intention. Number one. Number two, I would say, and so what we have to do in that moment is step back and reconnect and listen to the authentic impulse. Number two, I think what we have to be willing to do, another reason things don't work out is it's just not time yet. It's just,
we need more development.
if you go, you might be hungry and you go to the best Michelin restaurant at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's freaking closed. The best restaurant, 4 a.m., is closed. It's not God. It's not your astrology. It's not the universe. It's just the wrong timing. And so you can beat your head against the restaurant door and cry and curse the chef. It's not going to change anything. So you have to learn to understand the timing of things. Everything has a season. Everything has, and many times, because from the ego perspective, we want what we want and we want it now. So when the door's closed or we think we get rejected, it may not be a rejection. It just might mean no for now. It just might mean the time's not right. It's like if you go to a mango tree and you pick a mango because you want a mango, the mango's green, and you bite the mango, you're like, fuck it, I want the mango. You bite it, you chew it. It's hard. It's a hard, sour mango. And many of us, we are eating unripe dreams and living unripe relationships. You know, it's just not time. So we have to learn to trust the timing of the universe. We have to learn to get ourselves in sync with the universe. We have to learn to trust divine timing and learn some patience.